on, everybody? It's Jordan here, and welcome to our squad. So glad that you're here tonight. Tonight, we're continuing in our series called Meant to Be, and I get it. If you've been here the last 2 weeks and you're like, come on, I don't got no mans, I don't got a girl, I'm over this dating thing, I don't want to talk about relationships. I get it, but just hang with us. Tonight's gonna be awesome, regardless of if you're dating right now or not. So last week, Joey talked about what it means to look out for the interests of other people. And I know that's really hard to do, but it's so important when we're talking about relationships and dating, being able to respect other people, being able to honor other people, even when they're not really treating you maybe the way that you think you should be treated. And then Tanya came up and shared something really awesome with our ladies about what it means to guard your heart. We want you guys to have the best dating relationships that you possibly can. If you're ready to date, or if you're not really sure if you're ready to date yet, or even if you're in a relationship, you've been in a relationship for like 4 years, regardless of where you're at on the spectrum of dating, here's the deal. Jesus makes every relationship better. All right, so tonight we're not talking about why to date, or when to date, or where to date. We're talking about who to date. All right, let me tell you a little story here. I'm in college, right? I got about $3 in my bank account. I got no car, I got no job. Prime candidate for a relationship, am I right? But then there's this girl, she plays on the volleyball team. Her name's Lauren. And I was like, I gotta get to know this girl, right? I gotta hang out with her. She carries herself super well. She's really attractive. She seems super cool. She's great at volleyball. I was like, I gotta get to know this girl. And I actually told one of my friends before we had ever even gone on a single date, I said, I'm gonna marry that girl. So she finally agrees to go on this date with me, right? And I'm like, well, girl, I gotta drive your car, right? I'm gonna be a gentleman still, and I'm gonna drive. But the thing is, I need to borrow your car, right? And so we meet up earlier. She gives me the keys to her car. I swing down into the parking lot. I grab that Jeep, put that sucker into drive, swoop up to the loop at her apartment, pick her up, and we go to Texas Roadhouse to grab some rolls and some cinnamon butter. And then we go bowling, and she won. And as we continue to date and as we continue to develop our relationship and get to know each other better, I was trying to focus a lot on not just who she was as a person, but also who I was and who I was becoming. I feel like our culture and the world that we live in puts so much pressure on couples and individuals who are trying to date, or they're just starting out dating, or they're talking, just people that are trying to get a boyfriend or girlfriend. There's so much pressure, there's so much weight, there's so much expectation that's placed onto us. And a lot of times I feel like we just don't know how to handle it. I mean, if we were gonna talk about the perfect partner, what comes to mind? I mean, what does the perfect girlfriend look like? What does the perfect boyfriend look like? Finding the perfect partner is already not easy, and then our culture just makes it insanely difficult by sending us all these mixed messages. A lot of times we don't even know what the difference is between dreams and make-believe versus reality. All right, so let's look at some of the things that the world is gonna say is the perfect partner. All right, here we go. One of the things that I love about the Bible is that it's always giving us wisdom and information and guidance on what it looks like to have great relationships and the types of people that we should be spending time with. And then sometimes the Bible actually gives us warnings about who not to hang around with. And that's not just so that we can't have any fun and that we just follow rules, but it's actually God's plan and designed for our lives so that we can have the best relationships possible. All right, so listen to this warning right here from 2 Corinthians 6:14 through 15. Don't team up with those who are unbelievers. How can righteousness be a partner with wickedness? How can light live with darkness? What harmony can there be between Christ and the devil? How can a believer be a partner with an unbeliever? Paul says that it's not wise to team up with other people, especially in a dating relationship setting, when they just don't believe the same things that you believe, when they don't have the same values that you have. Now, Paul's not saying this means that we judge other people who don't feel the same way as us or that we ignore them. He's just saying it's not a wise idea to pair yourself up in an intimate way in a dating relationship or in a marriage relationship with someone who does not feel the same way about God and Jesus and faith as you. Dating's already hard enough as it is, right? I mean, you got to remember important days like birthday, and then the day that you guys started dating, and then the first month anniversary. I mean, it just gets wild, right? You gotta get her flowers on Valentine's Day. I mean, all the things, you know this. Don't make it more complicated by getting yourself into a relationship when the other person really doesn't even care about the things that you care about. What happens if you get into a fight one day and you actually want to forgive them, but they don't really care about forgiveness? Or what happens when they make a mistake and you want to offer grace, but they don't want to return the favor? Maybe you feel like this verse is really harsh and maybe you're not really a big fan of it, and I get it. But why do you think Paul would choose to include this in the letters that he was writing to the church and to followers of Jesus? Why would he choose to include something about believers and followers of Jesus choosing not to be in intimate relationships with people who don't follow Jesus? Here's what we're talking about tonight. If you are committed to following Jesus, date someone who shares that same commitment. This way you guys will actually share the same goals and values and dreams and hopes and expectations. You'll be able to connect on a spiritual level, not just an emotional level. Date someone who makes you want to love Jesus more. We can't just date people based on our feelings, right? Because feelings come and go. We can't make up our minds about who's attractive or who we want to be with just off of a simple feeling. But we can use wisdom and discernment, not just in figuring out how to date, but also in figuring out who to date. Dating on purpose means that you know who you're looking for. If you want the kind of relationship that feels meant to be, here's a couple tips for finding that perfect partner. Ladies, you want a guy who leads. There's nothing more attractive and nothing more beneficial for you in your spiritual life as well as your dating life to be led by a guy who puts God first and is committed to following Jesus. The last thing that you want is a guy who acts like a little boy when things don't go his way, and so he tries to force things to happen if things don't happen the way that he wants them to. Get a guy who leads, not one that forces. Guys, find a girl who is committed to loyalty. Because there's nothing more unattractive than a girl who's just jealous. I mean, you've never been at a party, right? And some guy, your bros, walked up to you and go, "Man, let me show you off to my girl. She is just jealous to the core. She is super insecure." No, it's not the way it happens. We want a girl who's loyal, a girl that's secure, a girl who's going to be faithful not only to us, but also in her relationship with Jesus. Girls, another great tip to look for in a guy is someone who loves, not someone who lusts. You see, love is a choice. You got to choose to love someone on their good times and in their bad times. But when it comes to lust, lust is a feeling. Lust is a reaction. Lust is something that can be turned on or off depending on the way that he feels. Get a guy who loves not just you, but someone who loves God even when he's going through a tough time. Guys, find a girl who uses her words to communicate well with you, with others, and with God. You don't want a girl who uses her words to manipulate just to try to get something that she wants out of a situation. Find a girl who knows how to communicate to you, who knows how to communicate to her friends and your friends, and a girl who knows how to communicate with God on a daily basis. And then last but not least, ladies, look for a man that is a protector. Look for a man who is comfortable in who he is secure in who he is, and looks to protect you and other people because of the protection and the love that God has shown him. You don't want a man who treats you and other people like his possessions. You want a man who respects, honors, and guards you, a protector. And last but not least for the guys. Guys, find you a lovely lady who can forgive when things go wrong rather than cast blame and put blame onto other people. There's nothing better after a tough time, after a tough day, after a tough argument, when you're trying to reconcile and restore that relationship, for a girl to give forgiveness because of the forgiveness that's been given to her by God. So how do we make sure in our dating relationships, and really in all of our relationships, that we're walking with wisdom and making decisions with good discernment? Proverbs 2:6 says, "For the Lord grants wisdom. From his mouth come knowledge and understanding. He grants a treasure of common sense to the honest. He is a shield to those who walk with integrity. He guards the paths of the just and protects those who are faithful to him. Just such an awesome reminder that God has actually laid out an incredible plan for our lives. He wants to guard us. He wants to protect us. He wants to give us wisdom if we simply follow him, follow his ways and plans. All right, last thing, and this is really important. It's important to know who you're looking for when it comes to a dating relationship. It's important to know who you're looking for in a perfect partner for you. But there's also a flip side to that. Who are you? Who do you need to be? Because the person that you're looking for is also looking for somebody else. And so it's really important that you not just focus on who you're looking for, but also who you are and who you're becoming. Whew. All right, well, I think that's enough for tonight. Thanks so much for being at R Squad. For more information on dating tips, tricks, and great advice, check out our other 2 videos in the Meant to Be series. See ya. Sorry, there's actually one more thing. Why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, share this with all your friends to make sure everyone's watching, make sure everyone's getting the best tips on how to have that meant to be relationship, if you know what I'm saying. And then why don't you drop us a comment and tell us maybe what the perfect partner looks like to you.